Hey guys, so I've been asked to present this presentation. This is a project called HisVine. We've been working on this project for approximately 2.5 years now, and by the grace of God, we've been seeing a lot of fruits in this service. So just a bit of an introduction. HisVine is a web application that aims to connect people with services, churches, events, everything together. It aims to provide the clergy and servants with a tool set to use for their services, while giving the congregation a central hub to easily find and connect and get involved with any church activity. Now, let's get started to look at what is HisVine all about.
Firstly, we'll have a look at the overall structure of the site. The website is broken down into 3 main sections: events, services, and churches. Let's have a quick look at events to see how to navigate the site. We see here all the featured events relevant to me. So how does the system know which events are relevant to me? Well, it uses the location of the user and automatically shows only the events that are near their location. Now, say for example, John has to go to Melbourne for work. He can easily use the events tool and go to the filters and only see the events that are from Melbourne or from any other place. So let's look at Melbourne, for example, and we can see all the events for John that he can attend. Let's have a look at another example. Let's say Bishoy, for example, wants to find an early morning liturgy for the Feast of the Apostles. He can easily go to the liturgy finder where he can pick the date and find all the liturgies and times of the churches. These are just a few features, and there are many more that you guys can explore to help a user find exactly what they're looking for. Now, what happens if I'm a bit lost and I don't know how to find something on the site? Well, you can use the search box, which is extremely useful. Let's say Marina, for example, wants to find a prayer meeting. So you could easily go to the search box, type in prayer, and she'll see all the relevant items relating to prayer. How about if we want to find a church under the name of St. George? We type in George, and we see the churches that are named under St. George, the services that are under the name of St. George, etc. And we see them grouped by their categories. Okay, so now we've seen the navigation and search tools of the site. Let's have a look at the 3 different sections we talked about earlier, and we'll get started with churches. Each user on the site has a home church. Under a church, we can see important information, such as the clergy, the services of the church, the liturgies, the photos, the calendar, the directions, etc. The clergy has all the details of the clergy. They are auto-populated by the clergy themselves from their profile. The calendar is the most important and powerful section of the site, and that can be managed through the admin page. Let's go have a look at the admin page. Here we have a lot of tools for an admin of a church. Under events, we can create recurring events. These include a whole range of examples such as liturgies, vespers, midnight praises, a whole range of them that we see in churches. Or we can have a single event, such as an open day, a conference, an outing, so on and so forth. Now, as you can see, having all these events under the church can get very messy and can get very confusing for the admin. In order to better manage all these events, we have introduced the concept of a service. A service allows each admin of that service to maintain and manage their own events. So let's have a look at services and how it can be a powerful tool for the servants and very beneficial for the users of that service. A church has many services in order to be able to better interact with the members of that service. Let's have a look at a youth meeting service, for example. Here we can drill down into the specific information about that service, such as the events, the photos, the files, the calendar, etc. As a servant of that service, you also have a lot of tools to help you in your service. Now let's look at the admin section to see those tools. Here we see that you can contact your members through SMS or email. You can take attendance and monitor the attendance. This is very useful so that you can check up on your members and visit them. You can also create events for that service, and this is very useful and very powerful because creating an event for a service not only goes into the calendar of the service, but it also goes into the calendar of the church that has that service. This shows us how powerful events are, and we will have a look at all the different features and options of events in the next section. Events have a wide range of features and options. An event can be as small as a prayer meeting or as big as a conference. Let's have a look at a sample conference camp event where we can see the details of the camp. You can see the poster. You can also add a registration form as well. And finally, there is now the ability to have payments online. Once the camp is passed, you can add photos of the event, and you could also add the workshop notes, PDFs, documents, the audio sermons that were recorded during the conference, etc. With the photos, you can also tag people in the photos, similar to Facebook. Through the admin menu, you can also email the list of registered contacts or SMS them. Now, if our event is not as complicated as a conference, but say a liturgy or a Vesper, for example, then we can also see how powerful events are for that event. If we go to a liturgy, for example, we see it automatically puts in the Coptic date and the saint feasts for that day. A lot of innovation and engineering has been put into events, making it very useful for the users and servants. HisVine is a very powerful desktop tool, but it is even more powerful on smartphones. The web app works on iPhones, Android, and Windows smartphones. Let's have a look at a few features through some examples. Let's say Mina, for example, finished work early and wants to see if the church near him is open. So he looks for the church and checks out the schedule, and he finds that there is a prayer meeting on. Let's have a look at another example. Sarah is the servant of a youth meeting. Sarah logs onto her services and decides to SMS all the members, reminding them about camp payments. She then goes in to mark the attendance for that week at the youth meeting. Finally, we'll have a look at one last example. Mary is organizing a church dinner. Now she wants to know if the 4th of August is a Sunday that is free. So she taps on the events and finds that there is a St. Mark's Festival opening ceremony on that same night. These are just some of the features of the web app. There is also the Agbeia, the Synaxarium, a Coptic calendar, and many other features on the web app. Okay, so a common question that I get is, what happens to church websites if HisVine has all the liturgies, the calendar, all the details pretty much? So thankfully, there is an awesome feature which integrates HisVine with a church website, with a diocese website, with pretty much any sort of website you want. So it's really cool. All you need to do is scroll down to the bottom of any page and there's a developer's link. You click on that and then you could find a range of different widgets and plugins that you can directly feed into your website. Currently, HisVine is being used by several websites. It's been used by the Diocese of Sydney website, by the St. Shuda Monastery, by the Choir Sydney, by all these different church websites. So to get started, it's very easy. You just go to the plugin of your choice that you want, and then you choose the settings that you want, and you generate the code, and you copy it into your website. Pretty straightforward. Now let's say, for example, that George wants to advertise his youth camp. Okay, all he needs to do is go to the youth page, create an event, and once the event is created, it automatically goes to the diocese website, the church website, and on HisVine as well. It also automatically goes into the church calendar. This is so cool because you don't have to put it into the service page and the church page, and you don't have to do anything. You just put it once and it goes to everything. The calendar of HisVine is very similar to the Google Calendar, as you can see, and it allows you to embed this calendar on any website. So we see that the data that is entered into HisVine doesn't stop there, but it feeds onto several other websites. So that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for watching, and I pray that this tool can benefit your church and services. To get your church involved, send an email to admin@hisvine.com and we'll get you set up. For more information about HisVine, you could find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, on HisVine. Finally, and most importantly, please pray for this service. Thank you once again, and see you soon on HisVine.